13, 14, and 15 are, again, finding the limit using the limit laws. What's going to happen on these ones is if I would put the 3 in and evaluate it directly, I would have 3 squared minus 3 minus 6 over 3 minus 3. Well, you can see right away in the bottom you're going to get 0. But what also happens here is 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 3 minus 6 is 9. And I get the special case where I have 0 over 0. If I get 0 over 0, I can't evaluate my limit directly unless I can rewrite my problem in a different form. So on these first ones here, we're going to have all quadratic expressions in them. And if we have a quadratic expression, we can try to factor it out and then cancel out our common factors so that we have an expression that isn't quite as complicated as the original one. So if you get the case where you try to evaluate it directly and you get 0 over 0, you have to rewrite that in a different form. So if I factored the top, I would have t and t. The end is negative, so a plus and a minus. Factors of 6 that give us minus 1, we'd have to have a minus 3 and a plus 2. Well, you probably notice on the bottom that we have 3 minus t instead of t minus 3. So if we factored out a negative 1, this would become negative 3 and that would become positive t, or t minus 3. So that we can cancel this expression, and now we have t plus 2 over negative 1. Now that's an expression that we can evaluate at 3 directly. So we are going to then put the 3 in for our t. If I have 3 plus 2 over negative 1, 5 over negative 1 would be negative 5. So the limit of our expression as t approaches 3 is going to be negative 5. So a lot of times when you have that quadratic expression, you're going to end up factoring out and reducing your fraction down as much as you can, and it makes it easier to evaluate your expression. So on this one, again, we have that squared term in there, and if I would go as x approaches 0, again, if I put 0 in there, I get negative 2 squared, which is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0 on the top. 0 would also be on the bottom. So again, I'm going to get 0 over 0 if I try to evaluate it directly. And so I have to find another approach to evaluating that. Well, this one, I've got this expression. So to simplify it, I first of all have to square my negative 2 minus x. So I'm going to take negative 2 plus x. Negative 2 plus x times another negative 2 plus x minus my 4 all over x. So I'm going to FOIL that out and simplify my fraction if I can. So negative 2 times negative 2 would be 4. Negative 2x. Another negative 2x in the middle. X times x is x squared minus 4. Just keep working on the top here. I can see here that I'm going to have 4 minus 4, which is 0. So I'm going to have x squared. Negative 2x minus 2x would be minus 4x over x. So if I want to simplify this expression then, again I have to go back to, I need to factor this out. Here I have to factor out my greatest common factor. The greatest common factor there would just be an x. So I would have x times x minus 4 over x. Now I can simplify my expression because I can cancel out the x's. I just get x minus 4. So if I evaluate my expression as my limit approaches 0, 0 minus 4 gives me negative 4. So the limit as x approaches 0 of this expression is also just going to be negative 4. So in this one, we had to FOIL it out first, then we could factor our quadratic expression and reduce our fraction down to the lowest terms. Number 15, same kind of thing. This one I just have that quadratic expression up on the top. Again, I could plug my negative 1 in there and double check, but I know since that's the kind we're on, I'm going to end up with 0 over 0. And so I want to simplify this. And so I'm going to factor my top. X and x, a plus 4 and a plus 1 would give me plus 5. On the bottom, if I factor out the -1, I'm going to get a positive x and a positive 1. So again, I can just cancel out my x plus 1. I get x plus 4 over -1. So I'm finding the limit as x approaches -1. I'm going to put -1 in for my x. -1 plus 4 is 3. 3 divided by -1 is -3. So, in the event that you try to evaluate directly and you end up with 0 over 0 when you try to evaluate it directly, you have to rewrite it in simplest form. And if you have a quadratic expression, means you're probably going to factor it out and then reduce out your common factor.